Hi there, Pride Plant Girl here. I was just in my little plant room here and I was trimming back my Tradescantia and I was going to pot some of the cuttings up just so that it was going to get fuller and bushier and I'd have new plants. And while I was doing it I thought, well, maybe somebody would be interested in how I do this. So I don't have my tripod here, I don't have my mic here, but I thought I'll put this video together quick and hopefully it turns out and you can get an idea of how I do this. So let's get started. So here is the plant that I was cutting back. It's a Tradescantia. There's several varieties of this plant. They come in like a pinky purple or the variegated form. A lot of people use them as house plants. You can grow them outside. I think they're a South African plant, but I'm not sure about that. They definitely aren't hardy in our area here, but I usually keep them in the house over the winter and then I'll put one or two outside once the weather warms up. But they're a neat little plant. This one, like I said, has gotten a little bit leggy and it just needed to be cut back. I had it in a spot where it wasn't getting very bright light, so I've moved it in here and got under some lights, but it needed some trimming just to freshen up. So I'll show you. There's all the cuttings I've taken off of it. So I just snipped it. You can see there, like there was a leaf there, so I just snipped a piece there. I snipped a piece there, and it responds really well to being trimmed. You can see that one there was trimmed right in that spot there. And it'll just grow back new stems and new leaves. I prefer when it has whorls of leaves like that one there. So I think that looks more attractive. But like I said, it wasn't getting really good light. It was looking nice. I'd moved it out into the living room for a little while and I've gotten busy and I had kind of ignored it and it started to show me it wasn't being cared for. So I've got it back here under the lights and the colors will get stronger here under the lights and it'll bush out again. But enough about that one. So that one's done. I'm just gonna stick it there and let it be at the plant spa for a while and get lots of nice light. And we'll move on here to these pots. So I've just got some old nursery pots and I filled them up with a mixture of potting mix and perlite, and I have a little bit of worm castings in there as well. So, and I've gotten it nice and damp and it's loosened up, and just have a little tray underneath it. And I'm going to try and set the camera down here and show you what I do. It's really simple. It takes very little to get these plants going, so let's see what we can do here. Have these cuttings here. Hopefully you can see that. So like I said, that's a nice one there. You can see how nice and close the leaves are together, and that's how it was looking before it came out of the bright lights. So I'm just going to actually peel back this leaf here, and then hopefully you can see there's a couple of nodes, one where I just peeled that leaf off and another one there. So I'm just going to actually take that and push it down into the soil so that those nodes are covered. I can plunk some more soil around it if I need to. And that's all there is to it. So you just want to pluck them back to that point where they're looking nice again and fill the soil in around them. So this one, I don't know if you can see that, this one has gotten quite long, so I'm just going to trim it up a little higher again so it has the nice grouping of leaves there that are close together. I'll just stick it in. So I had watered this plant yesterday, I believe. So the leaves are fairly plump right now. They could have used maybe a little bit more watering, but overall they're fairly turgid with water. So that helps whenever you're doing cuttings and doing something like this. It's always good to water the plant the day before so that they have a better chance of surviving. I just want to add a bit more soil to this pot here. So these plants are pretty easy to care for. I mean, I've heard they're susceptible to spider mites. I've never had trouble with them with spider mites, but I think the air in my house just maybe isn't that dry. I don't generally have issues with spider mites. Watch me say that and I'll have a huge infestation this winter or something, but they don't mind a damp soil, but they don't want to be waterlogged. And they'll pretty much tell you, they'll get pouty if they're not happy. They'll kind of just start to get droopy, or like I said, if they're not getting enough light, you can see like how leggy these ones got to be. So they like a nice bright spot. They don't want to be in, you know, if you're going to stick them in a window, you don't want it to be a hot, bleaching out their leaf kind of location. You want a nice bright spot where they might get a little bit of direct sunlight in the day, but mostly it's indirect light coming through. So there, I don't know how well you can see that, but that pot's fairly covered in them. Looks nice. So I'm gonna work on the other one a little bit. Just move that out of the way. So you can see I had so many cuttings. I was at first just going to throw them in the compost, and I thought, well, I may as well start more. Get them started. And sometimes if there's just a few stems that have gotten leggy, I'll just take them, snip them back, and just put them right back in the pot where the plant is growing. And just do it that way. I'm using my bare hands. I have read that some people react to the sap in these plants. I don't. A lot of things do bother my skin, but these don't bother me at all. So that's something to be aware of. You might want to use gloves when you're handling these. I had never heard that until I had done this many times before in my life, and so I know I don't react to them. But from what I've read, it can be a real problem for some people. Around here, you'll see these in the spring in the garden centers, big pots full of them, and they'll be really bushy and full, and people get so excited and they bring them home, and then they wonder why they aren't happy. And it's usually because in the garden centers, you know, in the nurseries and that, they grow them under lights, and they're getting just the optimum conditions, so they'll fill out and be really full, and then you bring them home and you don't realize that they really like that light. They like a lot of light, so they'll either put them in too harsh of sun, or they just won't give them enough light. And like I said, these guys will pout if they're not getting what they want, so people notice right away they don't look the same anymore, and they wonder what they've done wrong. But that's usually I mean, either you've just completely waterlogged them or you're just not giving them that nice bright indirect light that they like. So that's pretty much the biggest problem that you'll have with these guys. In my experience. So as long as you have a nice bright spot that you can give them some nice light. These are a beautiful house plant, and like I said, you can set them outside and they'll be quite happy. Another way that you could start these is just to take the same stem cutting. Now I've kind of cut this all down, but you could just take the leaves off the stem and just plunk it in a cup of water. So just need to make sure the stem or the leaves are all above the water, and you'll get roots growing out of those points. I actually have this one upside down, but you'll get roots coming out of the points there where you took the leaves off. But you can you see the color on that? Like, even the stems are beautiful. And depending on the variety, you'll get a little white flower or a pink flower sometimes on them, but they're not really grown for the flowers. It's more for this foliage with the variegation, or there's bright colors on some of them that are just, they almost look artificial. They're such bright colors for the leaves, but that's all it is. Like I said, I was doing this and I thought, oh, maybe you guys would find that interesting. So that's my Tradescantia, and that's what I do just to get more plants. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe if you aren't a subscriber already, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.